welcome to Gentex Multimedia live streaming to you on this historic 8th day of December 2020. Hey, it's wonderful to have your company once again, and we have quite a lot to get through today. So much to talk about and so much that's happening out there today. We'll talk about the Bharat Bandh in India, and of course we go to press today, and there's so much more that is happening. So once again, welcome to Gentex Multimedia, streaming live to your device directly from Brisbane in Australia. Well, first of all, let's take a very quick look at what the weather has in store for us for today. With that, let's welcome Dilraj.
Good morning everyone. Weather forecast for the rest of today is maximum 32 degree. Brisbane area is partly cloudy with no chance of rain. Light winds becoming west to southwesterly 15 to 25 km per hour in the morning and then shifting southeasterly 15 to 20 km per hour in the late afternoon. Fire danger is high. Sun protection is recommended till 10 to 4 and UV index is predicted to reach 11, that is extreme. Till tomorrow, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.
And thank you very much, Dilraj, for that update. Well, right now, let's go and take a very quick look at the headlines for today, brought to you by the courtesy of ABC.
Become the latest state to open to people from Victoria and New South Wales. Travellers will no longer be required to quarantine on arrival in WA. Now, the decision to ease restrictions had been in doubt after a hotel worker tested positive to coronavirus in Sydney. Restrictions are expected to be eased for South Australians on Friday. Britons will start to receive a coronavirus vaccine today in the biggest inoculation program in the UK's history. 50 hospital hubs have been set up in England to provide the jab, developed by US drug maker Pfizer and Germany's BioNTech. Australia has ordered 10 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine if it proves to be successful. Now, overnight rain has brought some relief for firefighters battling a massive blaze on Fraser Island. Queensland Fire and Emergency Services crews managed to save the township of Happy Valley yesterday after the bushfire threatened homes. Watch and act alerts remain in place for several parts of the island. And breakdancing has been added as an Olympic sport for the 2024 Paris Games. Breaking, a competitive form of breakdancing, is a street sport that typically involves running, jumping and climbing over obstacles. It'll join surfing, skateboarding and climbing, which will be retained after debuts at the delayed Tokyo Games next year.
And that's the news update there with, of course, ABC. Well, right now, let's take a very quick look at the next news that's coming out. Well, of course, it's all happening in India. We know about the coronavirus cases, going to the extremes. And of course, then we have this Bharat Bandh, which is happening today at Indian time, 11 a.m. till 3 p.m., when all the roads and everything will be closed. And it is meant to be a peaceful demonstration or a peaceful Bharat Bandh. Well, the other news coming out of India is that it's been hit with a mystery illness which has just taken by storm. There's so many people who have been suffering from this illness. Here's that report. The Bureau advises that it might contain scenes that might be disturbing to some people. So this is a breakout of a new kind. This is not an epidemic or has not been declared an epidemic, and how far-reaching it is, we don't know as of yet. But reports have come out that it is getting very, very widespread, and the authorities are trying to keep it under control as much as that they can. Well, on the better note, last night was Radio 4EB's get together, and of course when they have the end of year get together, it is usually broadcast from the car park, and when they have the van jam, meaning with our live broadcast van out there, and singers come out from a group which has the radio program at that time, and they broadcast live from the car park, and of course everyone gets together to have a little bit of a barbecue. So here's a glimpses of that last night. So the live broadcast coming from the car park, as you can see the signboard at the back saying 4EB. And this is a sneak preview of Music Masala, the track that has been put together by the in-house team of Radio 4EB. And that's our van, and you can see Joe Pratt, our manager there. The track that you are listening to has not yet been released. It will be released in coming months, but it has been made at Radio 4EB. So this is a sneak preview to the board members and the conveners of different programs. So it was screened last night as a sneak preview. And it is a wonderful blend of all different music, all coming together in one track. As we know, that music has no language and has no barriers at all.
Sneak peek of the next version of Music Masala. We're going to release this one in the next week and send it all around the country to community radio and other stakeholders and sponsors as a bit of a thank you. But the full CD will have 13 tracks on it. So all of those people who are constantly asking me about Australian music, play the Music Masala CD, just one song an hour. This is volume 3. We have a historic one, we have the one we did last year, and this one will be out in March next year in time for Harmony Day. And I just want a big thank you and well done to Bahadur, who, if those of you might have seen him in the office I used to sit in. So Bahadur's been doing all the filming and the editing and bringing all this stuff together, and then Alex and Nee have done all the recording in Studio 4, so they've done a fantastic job.
Yep.
We have another project that we'll be sending an EOI out this week sometime, which will be next year's version of this, although it's targeting young emerging artists. So if you have any young artists in your network across South...
So we left that there. As I mentioned before, it was a wonderful night out with all the conveners and the last get together and the do for this year. And it was good to see that it was done in a more informal manner and in a more casual with the barbecue out there. Special thanks to Joe Pratt and of course Lucy and Irene looking after the catering there as well, and always putting in a lot of effort as volunteers. Well, right now it's time to go to our main interview for today. And we are going to be interviewing Saurabh Kumar, who is from Saurabh Cricket Coaching. And it's a wonderful initiative that's been taken on here. So let's take a very quick look at what and how that is happening and go straight to that interview. So ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Australian Indian Radio, and today we're going to talk about something that's happening right now in Australia. Well, cricket. Well, with that, we'd like to welcome Saurabh Kumar from Saurabh Cricket Coaching. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us.
No, it's wonderful to have you, and of course the topic of the moment is cricket. So before we go into the coaching, just a little bit overview how the cricket's going at this point in time.
It's been going fantastic. It's very busy. It's good at this point. In Australia, we can still play cricket. So yeah, lovely weather. Kids are enjoying it a lot.
Okay, so just getting away a little bit to the India-Australia cricket match that's happening at the moment. Any commentary on that?
No comments.
Okay. All the facts are there as they are,
Yes,
of course. Right now, so tell us a little bit about sort of cricket coaching and what you are offering and what we do.
So in Saurabh Cricket Coaching, we are offering one-to-one sessions, and we are also offering holiday clinics. So one-to-one sessions are to more learnings based on one-to-one and covering every aspect, whereas holiday clinics are more for the kids to be prepared in all aspects of cricket across the 6 days, which will help them going forward next year when they start playing for their school teams.
Well, of course, yes, school teams is very important. So, talking about the school teams, what age group do you normally teach cricket to?
So there is no age group. There's a minimum age. The minimum age is 5-year-old. I have some students who are even younger than that, as long as they can understand the instruction and they love cricket. That's what we want. And from there on, from 4 onwards or 5 onwards, the age doesn't matter. It's pretty much, if you want to still learn, you can come and train with us.
Okay, so is there any age limit on the upper end?
No, there's none. There's
okay,
none.
So there is some chance for me as well.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Right. So looking at kids and their development and all the physical activities that they do these days. So why is cricket important for the kids?
Cricket in itself is a very beautiful game which teaches a lot of characteristics. So for small kids, it's very good for their core stability, for their balance, their proprioception, for their strength, and with their coordination. So this I'm talking about very young kids. But if you keep going and keep playing cricket, there is all other virtues which you develop part of cricket coaching or part of playing cricket, that are confidence, respect is a big one which we try to enforce, not only for your teammates but also for the other teammates and all other members, umpires playing cricket. And so respect is a big one, and the other one is the character, right? The character of the person playing cricket. It develops them a lot to have a very good character going forward, because cricket, even if you're low, you still have, if you didn't have your good performance, still you have to go there and be enthusiastic about rest of the game, and that's what something so important in life.
It is very, very, so, there's some very good aspects that you've touched on there. And I think one of the core things coming out of that would be leadership as well.
Yes.
Okay, taking the leadership role and teamwork.
Yes.
That is very important there as well. So character building, as you mentioned, is important. Teamwork, and of course, then the leadership skills that they develop by interacting. Of course, there are some people who are born leaders who will always take towards more the leadership part. But the teamwork, of course, is very important.
Yeah,
as well.
that's one of a very good thing about cricket, that it's not just an individual sport; it's also a team sport. So you need both in there. You need to be and play as an individual, so you are focused on your performance, and at the same time you are playing a team game.
It is very, very important. Now, as you have mentioned that, this coaching is so important. And now, when we look at our traditional background, we've always come from a background of gurus, and of course, gurus six, be it music, be it spiritual values and whatever. So, how important is that one-to-one coaching in cricket?
It's very important. Like, if I reflect back, this is one of the reason I started coaching, is that I want to impart the passion I have for the game. So like you talked about guru, you go to guru because guru has knowledge, right? So similarly, if someone has passion in him, he can impart passion into other players. Now, as I was saying, if I reflect back, when I see during my days, I had some coaches, really good coaches. I had friends who were very good players as well, but then later at some point they get distracted. They went into alcohol, or they wasted their life. But I had some really good coaches who put the foundation so much in place that I knew that I'm never going that route. So it's very important to have a good coach.
It is very, very important, and I think you have highlighted the importance there, especially in the context of cricket. So, looking at all the things that you are doing, so could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background?
Yes, so I'm a practice lead software in a big IT company into software development. I played a lot of cricket in India at state level, at a national competition level, and then once I was here in Australia for my studies, I continued playing here at premier grade competitions. I'm an opening batsman, and apart from that, coaching. I do coach in various schools for their grade 11 teams, and and then the one-to-one coaching.
Okay, so one-to-one coaching is very important, and it's good to see that you have got those skills to impart the knowledge onto the students there. So what else do you do apart from one-to-one coaching?
The other thing we run is holiday clinics. There are a couple of holiday clinics that's coming in December, so it's usually runs during the school holiday period. So there are two coming in December, and there's another one in January. As I said, holiday clinics are more focused, a 6-day focused program where we cover all aspects of cricket, right from batting, bowling, wicket keeping, captainship, leadership skills, all sort of skills, umpiring, giving them. It run in a specific module, so you get all the information, all the knowledge for playing cricket and excelling in it.
And how important is the teamwork that you've talked about when we look at many other sports, like rugby or or soccer for that matter, very fast paced, and they need to be on the ball, meaning they have to quickly look at the next partner, that where the shot is going, who's going to pass it on to them. When cricket is quite different, the time it takes for the whole match to be completed. So just a little bit on the teamwork and how do people, how does the team function in cricket?
Yeah, very much like rugby and soccer. As you said, the only thing that makes cricket a little bit different is the endurance and the patience you need. In soccer, you probably get ball every minute, but in cricket, you might be standing there fielding whole day and you get ball only 2 or 3 times. So you can't switch off from the game and take your attention somewhere else. So it's very important that you are being able to focus for long periods of time, and that is something you'd require in life. So cricket is not just a game; it's something which teaches a lot of life skills which we use going forward in our life.
And that is very well put, that, you know, it does teach you that, you know, leadership skill, and it's a life skill as well. So, you know, you apply the principles in your day-to-day life as well, in your relationship, in your professional fields as well, so which is great. So, you know, what about your centers? So where are the centers, and how do you know, where do people come for these trainings?
Yeah, so we run our most of our one-to-one sessions from Windsor or Kedron area. We also do coaching in Castledine Village, in Castledine area, obviously, and we are soon starting few centers in Springfield Lakes and Logan, and in the Sunnybank area. So and our holiday clinics we are running in Albion Indoor Center and Brackenridge Indoor Center. So yeah, we thought of going indoor, so, like, you know, keeping sun safe for the kids, and also in this heat it's hard to be able to not fatigue and keep going. Like, you know, you want the kids to be fresh throughout the day, and to be able to learn all these skills or knowledge provided during all these sessions in one day.
And that is quite challenging, the Australian heat, especially around this time of the year.
It is.
And I'm glad that, you know, you're moving some of the trainings indoors as well. So, you know, it's wonderful to have you on the show. And, you know, just before we hear from some of the parents who have had their kids on the show, so we'll listen from some of those. But any concluding remarks that you'd like to make there for all our viewers and listeners?
No, I just want to say, like, you know, if you're in Australia and you like cricket, you're very fortunate to be in Australia. It's the best country where you can get the best facilities, and the facilities and the coaching you will get here in Australia is right there. Like, you know, you can't match that anywhere else in the world.
And Saurabh, once again, thank you very much for being on the show, and keep doing the wonderful work that you are doing out there. And to all our listeners, if you have got your kids, make sure that they go in and join Saurabh Cricket Coaching, because, you know, having the love for the game is one thing, but getting the right training is another matter. So, you know, with the right guru, with the right sort of training, you can excel in that field. Once again, thank you so much for this coming on the show. And so, ladies and gentlemen, on Australian Indian Radio, this has been another very, very
We've been taking my 7-year-old son to Saurabh's one-on-one cricket coaching, and it has been fantastic. He started showing a really strong interest in cricket last year, so we went to the local club. But he was getting really frustrated because it was just hitting balls around. There was no one there to really teach them any skills. And he really wanted to learn more about the game, the rules, and improve his skills. So Saurabh's really helped him with his batting and his bowling, and he's really taken the time to understand my son and support him in the way he needs to be supported, and foster that love of cricket that he naturally has. So it's helped him tremendously. He's become much better in most areas of the game, and he just can't wait to play every week.
informative community segment.
Thank you so much, Mahesh.
This is Hirani family. My name is Krupa Hirani. My husband Dinesh Hirani.
Hello.
And our son Jash Hirani. I'm going to share our experience that we have from Saurabh's Cricket Academy. We joined in mid-August to train our son for cricket. He's been playing since last 2-3 years, but after joining Saurabh's Cricket Academy, he has improved his techniques, his skills, and the interest for the game, which is very important. We can only get it once you know and understand the game, and that's what we have got from Saurabh Cricket Academy coaching. Also, without his support, he couldn't be able to perform great this season. So thank you very much for that, Coach Saurabh. And Josh would like to share a little experience that he got from from the academy this year. Here you go, Josh.
So I really liked Saurabh Cricket Academy because we learned how to do this technique stuff, and we also had fun before the session started by warming up and playing games. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, as we know that today's segment has been sponsored by Gaura Travels, your best way home. And of course, we know, and we have talked about the very special charter flight going from Brisbane to India on 21st of December. And fares are starting at $1,099. And you can book with just a 5% deposit and finalize the rest later on. So, we would like to show our appreciation for Gaura Travels for sponsoring this segment for today. Well, right now, let's move on with the news and look at some of the news in brief. Well, Queensland is opening up its borders.
South Australia has not seen any cases in the last week, and they've now had a total of 33 cases related to that Parafield cluster. And it will on Saturday be 28 days since the first case in that cluster. So we saw that rapid escalation in case numbers initially, and then they very quickly got on top of those cases, quarantined people and managed it. So therefore, if there are no additional cases between now and Saturday morning that are unable to be linked to that outbreak, then Queensland will no longer require quarantine of anyone travelling from those 20 local government authority areas in Adelaide.
And that is very good news. But right now, let's hear also from Western Australia and see what their plans are.
Chief Health Officer has recommended that the risk of importation of COVID-19 from New South Wales is now very low. As a result, it is safe to continue our plans, as announced, to transition New South Wales to the next classification. This will occur for both Victoria and New South Wales, effective from midnight tonight. These states will join the ACT, Queensland, Northern Territory and Tasmania as very low-risk jurisdictions. As of tomorrow, travel is permitted to WA from these states with the following conditions under our controlled border. Travellers must complete a G2G pass declaration, stipulating they do not have any COVID-19 symptoms and which jurisdictions they have been in over the previous 14 days, including if they have knowingly come in contact with someone from South Australia. All Perth airport arrivals must undergo a health screening and temperature test on arrival. Travellers must be prepared to take a COVID-19 test at the airport COVID clinic, if deemed necessary by a health clinician. In addition, all land arrivals will be met at the border checkpoint for a health screening and to have their G2G pass declaration checked. The 14 days of self-quarantine requirement will no longer be required from tomorrow.
So there you go, that self-quarantine will no longer be required there. So it is wonderful news that's happening. Well, that the onus is on us to make sure that we keep everything safe. Well, later on, we'll look at the quarantine systems and how safe and how strong our systems are. But next, we look at the coverage from the out-of-control bushfires in Fraser Island. Pretty saddening.
Cars cram onto the beach at Happy Valley, a safe refuge from the inferno that's ravaging the World Heritage Site.
A very dynamic situation with the change of winds, but there is an army of heroes over there right now.
The bushfires burning on the northern end of the town, backburning's underway to try and protect homes.
We're preparing for the worst.
But erratic winds are making the blaze difficult to fight.
As I'm standing here, I'm watching black embers fall around us.
Over 1 million litres of water have been dropped from the air from at least 20 aircraft, small and large. The biggest, this air tanker, flown in from New South Wales. It can dump 15,000 litres at a time.
We're using a combination of both air and ground attack elements to battle that blaze.
Residents had been told to evacuate, but at least 50 have stayed to help fight this catastrophic fire.
There is a plan. We're all following it and we're sticking to it.
Around 100 emergency workers are risking their lives as conditions worsen.
It's very difficult for the firefighters, extremely difficult fire in harsh conditions. It is a sand island with a high canopy, which makes dropping water, not as efficient as it would elsewhere.
On other fronts, Kingfisher Bay Resort remains under threat. Long-time island tourist operators are stunned by the devastation.
I have found it hard in the last week seeing satellite photos and you go, wow, that's so much of the island.
Half is now blackened. The fire broke out in October after an illegal campfire. Residents are now demanding answers about why it took so long for Park Island management to raise a white flag and ask for help.
I'm really annoyed that they didn't apply all the resources they're applying to it now to it much earlier. They could have stopped this in its tracks a long time ago.
But the Premier insists correct procedures were followed.
Initially, the Park Service were very comfortable with managing that fire.
But it's now out of control. Late this afternoon, though, a reprieve for Happy Valley. Fire chiefs confident back-burning efforts and water bombing had saved the holiday spot. Lexi Hamilton-Smith, ABC News.
And it is very saddening to see that. And one of the points that came out there is that why was it left till later to bring in much needed resources? Whenever a fire, we have learned that from the bushfires last time as well, that as soon as, we find out, must attack it with the full force. You never know how far it will go, and it's never to be taken lightly. And I agree with the residents there. Well, what damage can be caused by all the smoke that comes out?
In the nation's capital, Alan Nichols is getting an early morning workout.
I found it very hard being sick. Now I've taken very much an approach of improving my health.
The air around him is clear now, but nearly a year ago it was very different.
It's been almost 2 weeks since thick smoke first blew into the capital.
Orange glow.
Canberrans are once again choking.
Canberra was among the worst affected places when smoke blanketed the country as bushfires tore across southeastern Australia, catching locals and holidaymakers by surprise.
We holidayed at a place called Malure Bay, just south of Bateman's Bay, and the fire just came through like a million miles an hour. I was trying to run with that to get to the beach. The particles in the air, I felt that my lungs were going solid.
Alan and his wife went home to Canberra, but there was no reprieve.
We weren't able to have the cooling going because it was pumping the smoke in. I had a really, really bad cough out of it, and to the point that I couldn't really sleep. I'd wake myself up all the time. So I just got a second-hand rowing machine and thought I'd have a chance of getting that crap that may be in my lungs out. I then found I couldn't walk, and I had clots from my knee all the way down to my ankle. So then straight to the emergency department at Calvary, and then about a week later I went to go to bed of an evening, and it was as if someone was playing the drums on the bed, and it was just bang, 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 bang in the car.
So as we can see that, fire has a far-reaching consequences, especially with that smoke. And as we know, the world, what it is today, has been formed over the years with eruptions, fires, and everything that's shaped the world in the way that it is today. Well, some good news is, when we looked at all the bushfires, there were lots of koalas who were affected. Now they have been released out into the wild.
This weekend was our final journey for these koalas. We've released over 14 into East Gippsland, and the last 8 were released on Saturday late afternoon back into the Mallacoota region. Now, these koalas have undergone some significant injuries, burn injuries, when DELP staff rescued them and entered them in the triage units in January. They then went to Zoos Victoria, where they underwent intensive care. After reaching the intensive care and the triage process, they came to Phillip Island Nature Parks, where we were able to really work on rehabilitation.
Oh, that is so nice. These are the lucky ones, whereas we know there were thousands who didn't make it. They just died. They were burnt in those bushfires. So that was really, really unfortunate. It's good to see these ones who have been saved and then released into the wilderness. Well, the next set of three clips that we're going to watch is all on employment. So, the new reform that's been proposed, and of course the young and the youth, and of course we'll also look at the disability sector as well. The first, let's take a look at the young unemployed and why and how.
What we know from other recessions is that young people have been hit the hardest. The drop in full-time employment for young people was over 10% in February to March, when for people over 25 it was 3.3%. So they were hit harder than anybody else. And in terms of returning, we're seeing that now with underemployment at 18%, 1 in 3 young people who are looking for work either are unable to find it or actually don't have enough hours to keep their heads above water. That's a tragedy for a nation like ours. We've seen the number of full-time jobs for young people decline by 2.6% over the last decade, year on year. And with this pandemic, the jobs that we're seeing come back are also part-time jobs. So increasingly, young people are impacted by small changes because they're in part-time, casualised, insecure work. In this pandemic, they've been hit hard because they're in retail, tourism, in the cafes, in the gyms. And as those jobs are coming back, they're coming back as part-time jobs and highly insecure. And that means that for young people, they're facing much higher barriers than other generations have to get their first job. And once they've got their first job, to actually be on a pathway to secure economic employment in the future so that they can make plans for themselves around their work, around saving for a house. They're at the moment trapped in what we're calling a part-time purgatory that just never lets them get a secure foothold. Young people have to have mutual obligation requirements, which means they have to apply for a certain number of jobs each fortnight, even if they're not really qualified for those jobs. There's greater competition with high unemployment, so people who are more qualified are going for the lower jobs. It means that young people are telling us they knew it was tough before, but now they're finding it impossible. And that sort of loss of hope and confidence, that sense that you're throwing yourself a brick wall that you're never going to break through, is really corrosive to young people's mental health, to their overall confidence and ability to seek jobs. And, that's devastating when you think that as an ageing economy, we actually need those young people as the taxpayers of the future to sustain this nation, quite apart from the great injustice that young people face today. If we don't invest in jobs that will, job creation that will give them a secure future where they can really use their talents and pursue their aspirations.
Yeah, that is all very well said there. And of course, we need the young and our youth to be employed. And of course, yesterday we had a look at those jobs which were being we had to get people from overseas to come and work on the farms to do the fruit picking. Of course, I know that those jobs are part-time and casual, as was mentioned. But once again, a job is a job. If you try and keep getting what you can. And on part of the employers would probably want to employ as long as they can afford to do so as well. The businesses, as we know, in Australia, many businesses are underemploying for the simple reason because it does not fit the budget, because it will blow the budget if they employ people. The work is there that they need, and many times the ones who are employed are doing a lot more than their fair share to fit in because of the work pressure and the work that is at hand that needs to be done. So the government is looking at some law reforms. What are these reforms that have been proposed?
They're fairly small changes. What there is an agreement on the definition of casual. That's a really good thing. It makes it clear what a casual is, and for that matter, what a casual isn't. The issue about the 12 months is interesting because already in a number of awards, there's a requirement to offer casuals that have worked with you for 12 months on permanent position. And even in some awards, it's even 6 months, so even earlier than that. And, my experience running my own businesses is that when I've offered regular casuals permanent jobs, they've actually said no, because what it actually means is that they'll end up being paid 25% less, because at the moment, of course, they get a 25% loading for being a casual. If they become permanent, yes, they'll get sick leave and holiday pay, but their actual take-home pay, their hourly rate, will go down by 25%. So it's not as clear as it looks in just how many casuals would take up permanency when it was offered. And again, it's in a number of awards right now. But look, it's a step in the right direction. It makes that in all awards right across the board. I think that's a good thing.
What's the significance of having a statutory definition of a casual worker in the Fair Work Act?
Look, it's a really important thing. There was a couple of court cases over the last couple of years which caused a real problem for many businesses, because they deemed some employees who had been working the same hours over a number of years, and they were casuals. They deemed them to be full-time or permanent, and the courts suggested or required back pay to happen to cover them for holidays and sick leave that hadn't been paid, even though they had been paid a 25 or a loading, a casual loading. And that's was a huge impost upon the businesses. In fact, I think the federal government's submission to the court case in this situation suggested that if that approach was taken across the board, it'd hit businesses by about $39 billion, I think, in back pay, shall we say. So the dilemma here was they already paid the casual loading, and then the courts determined that they were permanent, they weren't casual. So it's really important to have a clear definition of what a casual is. So
clear definition would be good, but because as we know that the employers have paid the loading, and then and now they would have to pay those extra entitlements as well. It is not fair on then the employers. Well, what are the federal changes that have been proposed?
Part-time cleaners Inez Lizama and Viviana Vasquez work at different locations across Melbourne.
Do you want a coffee?
Today, they're going to clean a primary school.
Okay, I'm running late.
Frontline workers like these were some of the most exposed to the COVID crisis, risking their health for minimum wage.
We have a case in my workplace where the school was shut down after a positive case. After my workplace was shut, after this positive case, I found out that I got the virus as well.
Viviana has since recovered. While it's not clear where she contracted the disease, she and Inez don't get paid if they don't go to work, in an industry where few workers have full-time positions.
I can get change of my hours in short notice, and also the workplace. So at the moment I'm doing 4 hours, but let's say, for example, next week, I can just be working 3 hours, and then I just get paid for what I work.
Viviana and Inez occupy the grey area between casual and full-time work. More than 4 million Australians work part-time, and more than 2 million work as casuals, according to the Bureau of Statistics. More than half of casuals have been working regular shifts for their employer for more than a year.
Yes, I would like to work full-time, but no, this company doesn't let you work full-time. I only work 7.5 hours. They don't want me to be employed full-time. I'm very worried about the casuals.
So we'll leave that report there, and tomorrow we'll hear from Christian Porter on the industrial relation laws and some of the updates that are coming. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been wonderful having your company on the 8th of December 2020 from Gentex Multimedia is goodbye. Until tomorrow, please do take care and remain safe. We'll see you all once again tomorrow. It's always wonderful to see you and have your company here on the show.